Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 3, another loss, another 3-0 loss at home. I'm joined by Stephen Howson. I mean, the only thing you look on social media, you look in our comments, you look everywhere, it is how long does Ten Hag have left?
There was a football club called Newcastle United. They had a manager who was a bell, or an owner who was a bell, called Mike Ashley. He used to own a proper snide sports shop with massive mugs. And they cycled through a fucking rate load of managers until they got new owners, and then they got one manager and it was good. And he was a team called Manchester City. And at the time, Mr. Alex Ferguson felt like they had a new manager every 18 months. There or thereabouts. Then they got loads of cash. And they actually cycled through a couple of managers early doors. But they've had the current manager for 7 years. Longer than any of the managers that I think Sir Alex went up against that were at Manchester City.
Do you think that there's no hope for United until the Glazers go, or until there's, the change at ownership level? Do you think that, if we stick with Ten Hag and there might be a chance, or do you think, unfortunately, this cycle is just doomed and inevitably will repeat itself until there's change above him?
I think you can have flashes of success, and you can go whatever that is. But how can we look at the results and the processes that we've gone through for the last 10 years and assume that these otherwise successful managers can't make it work here? Now, Jose went to Spurs, who is basically a fucking club of losers, and didn't win. So this shouldn't be a shock to us. But he's gone to Rome and been successful again. Louis van Gaal was a success everywhere, arguably, apart from United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer won stuff. All right, he had a bad time at Cardiff, but he won stuff prior to being here. And actually, I think the longer he's out of work, the more his stock's going to rise, looking at what's currently going on. And David Moyes, is he above us in the league at the moment?
Quite possibly, yeah. Yeah, they are.
David Moyes went on a fucking absolute retirement tour where he was shit in the bed left, right, and centre, picked up a West Ham team, almost took them down, and now are above United.
They're 1 point behind us. So,
right, okay. Boo, he's shit.
Yeah.
Right? So, how do you look at the process and the results of everything that's gone before us in the last decade and say, I think one more manager and we'll crack it? Like, how does that ownership group look and say, what's the script here? What other processes are we doing? So, what is Richard Arnold doing at the moment, apart from probably fucking tidying up his LinkedIn and sorting out his CV? Because it looks like he's getting a fucking bullet while Jean-Claude Van Damme comes and gets in the chair should Jim Radcliffe's bid be accepted. I think Gary Neville had a really good point on this. Now, the nervousness of the football department should not be translating onto the football pitch at the club. And by the football department, I don't even mean like Eric Ten Hag and Steve McLaren. I think they should be like completely separate from this process. So I don't think this is in no way an excuse for them. Like, I don't think they're affected by this. I think that their planning for January and beyond could be affected by this. But that doesn't make tonight's result any different. Like, that's not going to impact what the fuck happened on the pitch. Eddie Howe took over this Newcastle team and kept them upright. How much longer in the job has he been than Eric Ten Hag? 4 or 5 months, maybe?
Yeah.
How does his reserves look better coached than our first team?
I don't know. This is the thing I don't understand, and we were having this conversation, and it's one that I have opinions on, but I don't really know how to formulate them, because some of the stuff that United can't do at the minute, I know it's hard to point at what people aren't doing, but some of the stuff that we are incapable of doing can be done and can be trained and can be learned by 14-year-olds who are willing to learn, by, like you said, Newcastle's reserves, if they're willing to learn. Is it the case that Ten Hag doesn't know how to break down an opposition? Is it the case that these players are incapable of it? Or is it a mixture of both? Or is it that actually the players have sort of gone, if we play shit for long enough, we'll get a new manager and we'll have that, that little confidence booster, that bounce with it? What's going on? Why can't we make short passes? Why can't we run in behind and find the pass? Like every team we play against, Brentford can do it, Brighton can do it, Galatasaray can do it. Yeah, I've seen us do it. Why can't we do it now?
Yeah, I've seen us do it. I haven't seen us do it this season.
Yeah.
I've seen us do it. I've seen some legitimately, genuinely fucking top draw performances. Probably one of our best performances, probably Barcelona away last year, realistically. Like, I've seen us have very, very, very high level performances under Ten Hag that got me really excited for what the future would bring. I've also seen us lose 7-0 and 6-3.
And 3-0 loads of
another
times.
Thing, I got told for months this cup don't mean fuck all. So why is everyone suddenly excited about it? And why have TalkSport done 22 consecutive posts about United tonight and ignored Arteta's Arsenal, who've just been absolutely fucked by West Ham?
Do you think that plays into it? Do you think that the fact that we are so big, so famous, so much the target of scrutiny, of praise, of this, of that, when we're doing well, things are great, when we're doing bad, it's worse than anywhere else? Do you think that plays into the inability for this club and these players and managers to be successful over the last few years? Because it's 1,000,000%. It's so hard to fight through that when things aren't going well.
Joe, there was a fucking article last night about United having socks that are too tight. It's an Adidas-wide problem. Do you need to pull up who Adidas supply kits for?
There's a few. They do a few.
In their infinite wisdom, Adidas decided to be a multinational conglomerate that's kit suppliers for many a team, not just Manchester United. However, if you'd have read the newspapers or any online fucking shit blog over the last 18 hours, you could be forgiven for thinking that Adidas exists solely to supply Manchester United with ill-fitting socks.
That's the state of it, isn't it? What do we need to force through that then, to break through that? Because we sat here, we're seeing the cycle, we can see it repeating, and surprisingly, and obviously there are people who think Ten Hag it should go, but I'm surprised at how many people I'm seeing, despite all the results, saying this cycle will just repeat itself. It seems like a lot of United fans, or certainly some, are sort of getting wise to this sort of repetition that we're seeing. But how do we break through it? Because at some point we have to, but there's so much negativity, so much pile on. Like, does it have to start with the Glazers and the people above? And is there any other way to get through it? Because otherwise, this could be we've seen it with Liverpool, a long 30 years if we're not careful.
I was lucky enough to interview Martin Edwards in his living room, which was one of the most bizarre interviews I've ever had in my life. And in that interview, he actually spoke really candidly about Ed Woodward. And then we finished the interview and asked me to delete it. And I did. And I won't tell you what was in it otherwise, apart from the fact that as I was sitting there talking to him, I was going... But what he said shall remain between us two. If you go and watch that video, it's on my channel, you'll see a massive cut. And then we come back me like that. Anyway.
You're sweating and sad. And something's clearly terrible has happened.
So... Martin Edwards told me his decision to let go of Big Ron and to bring Sir Alex in, and then the subsequent decisions around keeping Sir Alex, I think followed a little bit of something that can be learned from. So what I didn't know, because I think I was 3 at the time, the Johnny-come-lately that I am.
Yeah.
Was Big Ron tendered his resignation in the summer of 1986. So when results started going west, come November 1986, Big Ron has already decided in his own head that he can't take Manchester United forward. And he hires Sir Alex Ferguson, who finishes second 11th, third 11th, 13th. You don't survive that in 2023. And that run of games, the Nottingham Forest, Mark Robins game, the FA Cup run, amidst a shit ton of 0-0s, 1-0s, poor results, getting beat 5-1 off City and all sorts. The reason why Sir Alex stuck around was because of work that was going on behind the scenes, but also because Sir Alex hadn't lost his faith in himself. Alex still believed he could do it. So I think if Ten Hag still believes, and you'll notice when you look in someone's fucking eyes, won't you? Do you still think you can take this fucking club forward? And if he says yes, with his whole chest, then back him. If he says no, well, you don't even need to sack him. He's done. Now, I don't know Ten Hag. I met him once. So I couldn't tell you what the guy is thinking. I couldn't tell you what he's like under these sorts of circumstances. I don't know. But I would start with that. How do you break this cycle? You might not break it with Erik Ten Hag. I hope you do, obviously, but you might not break it with Erik Ten Hag. But it has to come from, we decided this guy was the guy. 14 months is not a long time. Remember, Sir Alex Ferguson, and he was pretty good. 2nd to 11th. Everyone have been saying they lost the dressing room right now. There's lessons to be learned. And not everyone's Fergie, granted. And the fact that not everyone's Fergie, why do you expect them to do it quicker than Fergie? Why do you expect faster results, more immediate results than Fergie? And I say just, you got to suck it up and be patient. If you believe this guy's the right guy, then you back him and make sure that you support him in every way you can to make him the right guy. And you get the right football people in. Not fucking John Murter, who's just been promoted from the academy. He's got a fucking contact book the same size as me. Oh, by the way, I see loads of people calling me out saying I'm lying on the player that was getting in touch with me. This wasn't a case of they didn't know who to get in touch with. It's sometimes that message gets lost. You can't just ring up United as a professional player under contract elsewhere and ask for a fucking job interview. It doesn't work like that. So they were asking for people to be put in touch and to be made aware of that he's open to a transfer. No. And, if United end up signing him, I think he wants to try and make it happen in January. But again, I don't know if that's even possible amidst the situation.
We've got the money for that.
But if United sign him,
yeah,
I reckon I'll be able to tell you exactly who it is when it comes off, if it comes off. Or if he goes elsewhere, because somebody else has inquired. Maybe we'll let you know then. But either way, there's... Anyway, fuck it.
It's hard, isn't it? It's horrible. It's just horrible. This is a separate question to how do we get out of this? Do you think, based on what you know of Manchester United and the people who make these decisions, not the fans, not what we want, not anything like that, do you think Ten Hag will get through this rough patch?
Smells like he won't.
Yeah. I know. It would take a change in tactics from United's board, from the footballing department, from the owners, from what we've seen over the last 10 years for him to get through this, wouldn't it? Because no manager's done it, other than
Richard
Solskjaer.
Arnold's new, though.
That's true. Richard Arnold
new.
is new, and Murta is new.
And, you've got Fletch in there, but I don't know them guys enough. I don't know what they do enough. Yeah. And I don't know what they think enough. There's something that worries me. And as I spoke to somebody, I don't know, about 3-4 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Erik Ten Hag, and they've got some knowledge of Erik Ten Hag. And they said, he's very cold as a man. He's not got a lot of charisma. was actually something that I did read. I think he's considered a bit of a country bumpkin, like the area of Holland that he comes from.
Right.
I think it's a bit like farmer country. I can't remember who said that. I can't remember who said it. It was a Dutch person who said it, because obviously it's going to. I don't know what your knowledge of the farming industry of fucking the Netherlands is like, but mine's not so good.
Not massive. No, not extensive.
So yeah, someone. I'm almost certain. Is Dirk Kuyt from the same place?
I'll have a look. Keep talking.
So this person I was talking to said Ten Hag is cold, and when you're winning, it doesn't really matter, because the information he's giving you, he's a bit nerdy with the information and the stats and the data and this, that, and the other. But when you're losing, this person has got a little bit of experience of Ten Hag and professional football. So when you're losing, you need a manager that is someone that's got at least a little bit of charisma, that can give you a little bit of passion, that can talk to you. That was the thing Sir Alex Ferguson was very good at, wasn't he? Reading the temperature of a room and knowing exactly what different players needed to motivate them and to keep them focused and on track. That was something I think he was an absolute black belt in.
Yeah.
Was reading people in that sense. Is he from the same place as Dirk Kuyt?
No.
Who the fuck is he from the same place as then? Because it's somewhat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I trust that you heard it from a good source.
But the farmer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. And this person suggested that the reason Steve McLaren isn't there with him is because Steve McLaren obviously knows Manchester United, knows what Manchester United standards look like when we're successful. But also because Steve McLaren's got a bit of a personality about him. And one of the things that people like about Steve McLaren training sessions is Steve's a guy that you can get on with. Like he's a very jovial kind of character. Perhaps not hard enough with his decisions to be a manager, but perhaps one of the best assistant managers that United have ever had, because he was that link between what could at times be a very hard-nosed manager, even though he also had incredible man management. He was also at times a bit of a see you next Tuesday to the players, I think it's fair to say. But Steve was always the one that would maybe put his arm around you and that sort of stuff.
But is he not doing that now then? Could that not help now? Why is that not working now then? Do you think it needs more than that? It needs the manager as well? Why? What's going wrong?
Don't know. I don't have ready access to the person I was talking to. Yeah. But since then, it's been a bit shit since then. And I don't know if I'm overthinking it, because it's like the one morsel of information I've got from sort of inside the changing room, and you just roll that around your head far too much. I don't know if I'm overthinking this little nugget of information that I've had and thinking, does this mean, you had the Sancho thing, you had some of the other stuff in. People want a disciplinarian until they don't want a disciplinarian. Jay shared something the other day where it was like, it might have been yesterday even, Manchester United players are fed up with Mourinho's hardline ways. United players are fed up with Louis van Gaal's hardline ways.
Yeah.
Manchester United players are fed up with fucking Ralph Ragnick's hardline ways. Manchester United players are fed up with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's hardline ways. Yeah. How about pull your fucking knickers up, lads?
Yeah. Just shit, innit? It is just terrible, and unfortunately, I don't see how it's going to get better anytime soon, and that's the worry. I think we should leave it there because we could probably chat all night, but it's just.
When do we go Anfield?
It's the start of December. I think it's the 17th. Of December.
What was the date Jose went?
Let's have a look. 18th of December. I think that's a good place to end it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Steve, for coming on. Hit subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Manchester United 0, Newcastle United 3. See you in a bit.